Hey guys, welcome back to yet another video. Today we have with us Ansh Srivastava. He is an upcoming front-end engineer at Amazon Dublin. He is also right now currently a software engineer at Persistent Systems. And we'll talk about today how his journey has been with Amazon Dublin and cracking a front-end offer um, abroad. So welcome Ansh, and if you want to
Thank you.
share your profile briefly, please go ahead.
So for an introduction, hello everybody. I'm Ansh. I'm from Bhopal. I'm from LNCT Bhopal, a Tier 3 college. And I have recently cracked an offer from Amazon for a front-end developer role. Previously, I already cracked Persistent Systems as an SDE. Currently, I am interning at Persistent. So that would be a brief overview for the profile.
Nice, nice. And first of all, congratulations for grabbing such a great offer with Amazon Dublin. And a lot of
Thank you.
students dream of working in companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and you are like living the kind of dream of many students. So
Yeah,
first, congratulations for that. And
thank you.
so briefly, if you can share Ansh, your journey with us from your beginning from your college life and how you started basically.
So talking about my journey, as I went into college, for a background, I did not have any computer science subjects in school. I did not take up C++ or Java, whatever the subjects were. So it was pretty new to me in the first semester. So first semester, I just explored what all people already know, what the resources are, what people do generally. And so in the first semester, I found out that DSA is a subject that's pretty
Hmm.
important, pretty vital for it. So I then in my from my second semester onwards, I started doing DSA. So first of all, I there's this platform called Geeks for Geeks, which I
Hmm.
discovered.
Hmm.
My friends told me about it. I started with Geeks for Geeks. Then it came to me naturally, so I went on with Code Chef and did Code Chef. So all the rankings that I have are from around my second year or so. After that, I did not touch much Code Chef. I got into development.
Hmm.
So that was there until I think fourth or fifth semester. I did DSA. I was heavy on DSA. I knew that I should be doing some development or some other things. So in the meantime, I already, like I mentioned, I knew कि development वगैरह कुछ करना चाहिए. So
Hmm.
I researched on the internet. Python was grossing at that time. Like
Hmm.
blockchain is right now the
Hmm.
uh, pumped up word. Back then was
Yeah.
ML and AI. So I went into Python. I did some desktop projects, some small applications with it. Then I tried to go into ML AI. I tried it for a month. I did the course on YouTube, a free tutorial. I did not find much sense in it, and I did not align quite well with it. So I just
Hmm.
was like कि कुछ और देखते हैं, let's try out development now. Then I went on to the development part. So I discovered that कि JavaScript यहाँ पे चलता है.
Hmm.
And after JavaScript, people were mentioning कि React कर लो, React में ऐसा है. तो then I tried to explore the frameworks that there are. I did not go ahead with Vue because tutorials available नहीं थे उस time पे ज़्यादा.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Angular was a very big thing. I
Hmm.
did not quite like it. Then I ended up with React, and the resource that helped me there's this YouTube channel called Traversy Media. The
Hmm.
teacher is Brad Traversy. He teaches a lot. Those are hands-on projects, not much theoretical experience.
Hmm.
So basically, what I did was in all the things like C++, I did directly hands-on. I did not go much into
Hmm.
depth. I did
Hmm.
these at a later point in time when the interviews were coming up. So that is the point when I covered the theoretical concepts and the background workings of the languages. But for the for DSA, I used Geeks for Geeks, Code Chef. I did some competitive programming. There is this cloud between CP and DSA. Those are
Hmm.
two different things. Competitive programming I just did to कि मुझे समझ में आने लगे क्वेश्चन में क्या पूछ रहे हैं.
Yeah.
आई शुड बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि वेग क्वेश्चंस कैसे होते हैं. हाउ
Hmm.
शुड आई बी टैकलिंग, हाउ शुड आई बी थिंकिंग अबाउट इट. दैट इज व्हाई आई डिड सीपी फ्रॉम कोड शेफ. देन आई प्रेफर्ड गीक्स फॉर गीक्स ओवर लीड कोड फॉर क्वाइट सम टाइम क्योंकि फॉर गीक्स में इजीली अवेलेबल एडिटोरियल्स थे. इट वाज फ्री रिसोर्स. अनलाइक
Hmm.
लीड कोड में कुछ कुछ प्रीमियम क्वेश्चंस हैं, तो डिड नॉट प्रेफर इट एट फर्स्ट. तो मेरी मेन प्रोफाइल गीक्स फॉर गीक्स कोड शेफ में है, डीएसए की. And for the development part, I found the Traversy Media YouTube channel. Then I discovered that he also does Udemy courses. So I did a bunch of his courses: Bootstrap, HTML, CSS, JavaScript,
Mm-hmm.
React, 2 courses on MERN Stack. So a lot of courses, because I just loved when I got into development. I just loved the full full stack vibe using MERN Stack. Then
Mm-hmm.
later on, when so I should say December 2020 or around, I got a chance to work on a live project, sellexpress.in. It's a live production website. So I thought, why not? Let would be a great learning curve for me. So I went into it using MERN Stack. There I found out that I had more alignment towards front end, and came to me naturally that I was able to optimize front end. I was able to think freely about it. So I'm still improving in the front end, but uh, that site was the main supporter in learning curve for me for the front end
Yeah.
part. So I also did a small project when I was discovering Python, when that I mentioned. There's this app. Well, it is an app for tracking fuel prices.
Okay.
Back then, there was that new law, right? कि the fuel prices would be updated
Change
daily.
daily.
आपको साइट पे
Yeah.
चेक करना पड़ेगा. So that guy wanted to create an app कि उसको hassle free बना देते हैं हम. We'll pick up the data from the websites. There were not many APIs available. हमने
Mm-hmm.
scrape किया data. He wanted somebody who could handle the backend. So I did the backend using Python, Scrapey for scraping the web, and I used MongoDB to store the data. So that was a pretty simple backend I did. That app now has like 10,000 plus downloads. So I took the leverage of it in my resume. It
Mm-hmm.
is always good to write numbers in the resume.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 live projects that I did, and that was my journey to where I am right now.
Great, great. Absolutely, like very impressive. And I think the main point that comes out from your journey is like you should explore as much as possible in your college days. Like that is the
Yeah.
time that you have. That will not you will not get that time once you
Uh-huh.
are pass out from your college, and you can experience, you can explore a bunch of things, and then you can settle down on the end, and then work like towards the one thing and aim for that only.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think yeah, you like covered it pretty well.
So
Moving
there's,
on. Yeah,
if I had to add just one small
sure,
point in
sure.
it, कि as I posted it on LinkedIn, I get a lot of DMs कि भैया best language बता दो आप, best path बता दो, हम क्या follow कर
Yeah,
लें. There
yeah,
is no such thing as the best language, best path. Just क्योंकि आप अभी start out कर रहे हो, for I am
exactly.
considering you are in your first second year, तो आप 2 हफ्ते दे लो ना, आपको जो भी
Yeah,
options दिख रहे हैं.
yeah.
And you'll find it out yourself. मेरे
Hmm,
बताने से नहीं होगा वो, क्योंकि मेरे
exactly.
स्किल सेट अलग हैं, आपके अलग हो सकते हैं. So
Yeah.
that is a little bit of summary की जो लोग पूछते हैं कि बेस्ट ये बेस्ट, there is nothing
Mm-hmm.
like that.
I think a lot of students nowadays are looking for shortcuts, and
Mhm.
I would suggest like not to look for them and just be patient initially, and then try try a bunch of things. Like I remember in my college days as well, I also tried machine learning, blockchain, front end, everything. Like you
Mhm.
should like try everything, and then you will get to know like what you love, and
Yeah,
that will be more uh, and what comes naturally to you. That way
yeah,
you will not feel like you are working on something. You will say like you are enjoying the process itself.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So moving on to the next question, and I would say like, what was the like interview experience with Amazon Dubbing? Like, if you can talk about how many rounds you had and what kind of questions you had, because you
Mhm.
have a profile, I would say, which is more on project oriented rather than
Yep.
simply DSA oriented. So if you can
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
explain that, yeah.
So in Amazon, there were 3 rounds there. So a bit of clarity key, because Amazon is hiring extensively right now, so they are
Hmm.
just doing 3 or 4 rounds at max.
Hmm. Hmm.
They normally do 4 or 5 rounds, extensive interview
Okay.
rounds,
Okay.
but right now, because they are hiring a lot, so
Hmm.
they just do 3 rounds. So also there is a difference between Amazon India and Amazon overseas. उसमें भी
Overseas.
थोड़ा सा difference है. I'll clear it out at the end.
Hmm.
So there were 3 rounds, 1 hour each. All the interviews had the same format कि पहले behavioral questions पूछेंगे,
Hmm.
then there would be 1 or 2 technical questions, and then there would be time कि if you want to ask something to the interviewer, you can do that.
Hmm.
So because this was a front end profile, I was expecting it to be not a DSA heavy, which it turned out to be true. It was
Hmm.
not DSA heavy. Instead, it was heavier on the behavioral question side. I was
Hmm.
asked more about my experience कि जो भी मेरे projects हैं,
Hmm.
कि the questions you face, like कि tell me a time when you failed, tell me a time कि तुमने जो भी timeline है project की वो कम
Hmm.
तुम
Hmm.
estimate करी थी, and it turned out to take more time. इस type के questions पूछते हैं, and they are basically evaluating on their leadership principles. I think they have 16 leadership principles. So if you are preparing for an Amazon interview, be sure कि जो भी examples आप उनको बताओ behavioral questions में, they should cover at least 2 or 3 behavioral principles or leadership
Hmm.
principles at Amazon.
Okay.
So that was for the behavioral part. Technical part, there were easy to medium questions, I would say. The questions key,
Hmm.
there were simple questions on trees and strings. I cannot disclose them
Yeah.
publicly, so then constrained.
Okay.
So because I already did them before, मुझे तो आसान लगे. But if somebody had to approach them for the very first time in an interview, I would say that they were at best medium questions. They were not that tough.
Hmm.
So in the second and third interview round, I was asked DSA, and in the first one, I was asked a simple machine coding question using JavaScript or any framework I would have
Hmm.
liked.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
did it in React. And one very major tip that everybody says, keep think out loud. That
Hmm.
is, I think, what helped me in the DSA and the technical development question. कि जो भी मेरे दिमाग में चल रहा था, I was constantly speaking it to the interviewer. The
Hmm. Hmm.
interviewer
Hmm.
was also helping me कि इसको ऐसे क्यों कर रहे हो, इसको इसकी
Hmm.
जगह ऐसे कर लो. And he
Hmm.
was asking me some nitty-gritty details कि
Hmm.
कि
Hmm. Hmm.
जैसे रिएक्ट में यूज स्टेट क्या करता है, यूज स्टेट क्यों यूज कर रहे हो, can we use instead of boolean, can we use a string use state, or
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
questions like that he will ask you. That would be a great help if you are thinking out loud. And yep, that is all the interview experience that I
Okay.
had at Amazon.
Nice. Nice. Really nice. And what kind of projects did you have in your portfolio that were on your resume or in general?
So I still don't have a portfolio website. वो मैंने to do's में लिख रखा है कि मुझे बनानी थी, but I didn't make it. So
Hmm.
one thing I would say कि अगर आपके पास projects हैं, you can invest some time on a portfolio website. Initially, you can do it on Gatsby template or something,
Hmm. Hmm.
but you should give it some time क्योंकि अब बढ़ रहा है उसका कि
Hmm.
when you send somebody a message, for example LinkedIn पे मैं referral के लिए भेजता था, I feel like कि मैं उसको portfolio website भेजता तो it would have
Hmm.
been way clearer for him to understand what the person is capable of. So I would recommend कि एक portfolio website बना लो, ज़्यादा procrastinate मत करो मेरे जैसे. The second thing, the projects on my resume कि I also did an internship. It was just static websites, but it was a good production experience.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it added some value to it, to my resume. But I think most of the value came from the 2 live projects that I did,
Hmm.
because क्योंकि sellexpress.in जो site मैंने बनाई, it was created by me from the scratch. So it had a lot of things to cover कि उसमें से अगर कोई चाहे तो काफी सारा पूछ सकता था.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the previous interviews that I gave at startups, they were based on that कि आपने इसको कैसे किया, आपने OTP कैसे implement किया,
Hmm.
and all that stuff. They can ask it on that. Or other than that, I had 2 small projects. I also mentioned कि I have this ranking on CodeChef, and I have solved this number of questions on the platforms combined. My resume
Okay.
was not कि open source बहुत ज़्यादा कर रखा है या फिर 6-7 stars हैं CodeChef पे, ऐसा नहीं था.
Hmm.
It
Hmm. Hmm.
was pretty good for an average guy. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Nice. And how you were like contacted by Amazon Dublin, or you contacted them, and how was the application procedure?
So इसको मैं कहूँगा it was a bit peculiar if you
Hmm.
say कि मुझे तो like कि जैसे हम लोग tier 3 से अप्लाई करते हैं तो
Hmm.
most of the companies don't revert at all, चाहे आप रेफरल से लगा लो चाहे आप
Hmm.
डायरेक्ट लगा लो.
Hmm. Hmm.
So one day my friend called in February this year. He called me and said कि ये Amazon की एक लिंक आई है, मेरे कुछ दोस्तों ने भरी, मैंने भी भरी, हमको ऑनलाइन असेसमेंट की लिंक आ गई है, तो तू भी भर दे, तुझे भी आ जाएगा.
Hmm.
एंड ही ऑल्सो सेड कि फ्रंट एंड रोल है तो तेरी प्रोफाइल भी उससे सूटेबल है, तो क्या मालूम हो जाएगा.
Yeah.
मैंने कहा इट्स अ वैलिड आर्ग्यूमेंट. एंड ही सेड कि
Hmm.
उसने डायरेक्ट ही अप्लाई किया तो सबको आ गई है. तो मैंने भी डायरेक्ट Amazon जॉब्स पे जाके अप्लाई कर दिया. I got the link, I got the test link. The test link was, the test was pretty easy, I would say. It was on hacker rank. Again, the same thing कि अगर मैं पहले से नहीं किया हूँ कुछ questions, तो maybe it is at best the medium level of DSA questions. Other than that, the test was easy. उसके बाद around 1.5 or 2 weeks, I got a mail from the recruiter saying कि you have been shortlisted. Please select a date for your interviews and all of the next procedure which I already talked about. That was quite a simple process, I would say. I did not involve any reference or too
Okay.
much things.
Okay. So kind of the lesson here is you should not self-reject yourself. You should keep applying for jobs, and who
Yeah,
knows
exactly.
like
Yeah.
which job you will end up like being selected
Mm.
for. Nice.
So one more small point, if I had to add, कि uh, I was not initially aiming कि मुझे overseas जाना है या फिर Amazon में ही जाना है मुझे. I was not aiming for that. Initially लोगों ने कहा कि DSA कर लो, बहुत अच्छे से कर लो. I discovered it after doing courtship कि there is only a certain level कि जहाँ तक मुझसे हो जाएगा ये. उसके बाद I would be hard capped by my abilities to solve mathematical abilities, but whatever you can say it. I was hard capped by DSA कि एक level के ऊपर मुझसे सोचते ही नहीं बनता है, तो मैं कैसे करूँगा. So then I jumped onto the development. Thankfully I liked front-end development, so I did not care much about DSA. But you can also say कि क्योंकि मैंने पहले ही कर लिया था एक उसको decent level तक, I didn't have to worry about it much. तो ऐसा नहीं था कि मैं एम कर रहा था कि मुझे ओवरसीज जाना है या फैंग में ही जाना है. मेरा इनिशियल गोल यही था कि वंस आई फाउंड आउट कि मुझे फ्रंट एंड बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है, आई स्टार्टेड लुकिंग आउट फॉर फ्रंट एंड. आई वाज ऑलवेज लुकिंग फॉर जावास्क्रिप्ट हो या फ्रंट एंड हो या एट बेस्ट बैक एंड नोड जेएस में कोई सा रोल हो. आई वाज लुकिंग आउट फॉर दोज रोल्स एंड वाज नॉट exclusively searching overseas.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. And I think you have already answered this my next question, but just to like settle it down more, like students are like pretty split between like development or comparative programming, and as you said, like we can have a balance of both, and the college years are the best time where you can find out the right balance of both DSA, comparative programming, and development. Anything else you want to share on this topic?
So one thing I would say कि if you check out LinkedIn, there are people who haven't done CP that in so much depth. You can take my example as well. मैंने भी इतना ज़्यादा depth में CP नहीं किया है, but I always had a balance. Well, initially I was more on the DSA side, but I was also researching कि और क्या किया जा सकता है. Then in the medium years of my college, like second to third year, I was having a balance between DSA and development. Although क्योंकि मैंने DSA पहले ज़्यादा कर लिया था, so then I had more time to give to development. But कभी भी ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि मैं कोई भी एक ही चीज़ करता हूँ. I was always maintaining कि शुरू में 80% DSA था मेरा, क्यों 6 महीने या 1 साल शुरू में 80% DSA, 20% development, and then afterward it was 80% development and 20% DSA. So it is not कि आपको 50-50 करना है. आपको वो डिपेंड करेगा अगेन कि अगर आप लेट्स से आप थर्ड ईयर में हो तो यू शुड नॉट बी डूइंग डेवलपमेंट राइट नाउ, क्योंकि आपके कॉलेज में कैंपस आएगा. यू शुड बी प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर डीएसए. वो अलग बात है कि इफ यू आर अनफॉर्चुनेटली इफ यू आर नॉट फ्रॉम अ वेरी गुड कॉलेज, यू शुड बी फोकसिंग ऑन ऑफ कैंपस मोर देन यू हैव टू रिसर्च इट दैट वे. तो that is all the inputs I have on that.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I also agree with this. Like you should not blindly follow any so-called bhaiya and just follow one path. You should explore all the paths and let's see what's best for you. And you have to analyze your situation, like on which college you are from, and we have to be practical about it. We can debate all day, like which is better, development or CP, or tier 1 is better, tier 2 is better. At the end of the day, we have to be practical and see the situation around us and prepare according to that.
Exactly.
And also like as you said, like you are you have a very good front end profile. So just to like summarize, what are the best resources you think for front end interviews for students like you who are preparing for next interviews, front end interviews?
So for the interviews, there is by Akshay Saini, there is this playlist on
JavaScript,
YouTube
yeah.
called Namaste JavaScript.
Yeah.
The best resource you will find on JavaScript.
Hmm.
You will understand most of the core functionalities.
Hmm.
There are some nuances left out from it, like for arrow functions, but you'll have to do your own research on that. Once
Exactly.
you know, get the idea from his playlist, you'll automatically see the nuances in JavaScript, and you can yourself search it on Google. As for React इतना ज़्यादा आपसे मुझे नहीं लगता कि they expect too much React from a fresher. But even if they do, they just expect the basic things कि कौन से hooks होते हैं, where can you use them, for example context और memo में क्या difference होता है उन hooks में, and basic React stuff, routing कैसे होती है, what are bundlers, webpack, and all of that. But that is highly unlikely to be asked for a
Hmm.
fresher in a front end interview.
Okay. Okay.
So those would be the resources. Other than that, कि अगर आप चाहो कि ऐसा कोई कोर्स या ट्यूटोरियल है, frankly I did not find anything that just cut
Hmm.
it, क्योंकि मुझे खुद को भी काफी सारी जगहों से प्रिपेयर करना पड़ा था. But
Hmm.
because I liked it, it did not feel like much of a hassle to me. I was enjoying searching and finding out. So that just
Nice.
depends on how you approach it.
Nice. Nice. And lastly, Ansh, any tips for students working on front end and who wants to join product-based companies and they have upcoming interviews? Any
Mhm.
tips or last words?
So for anybody who's preparing front-end development, I would say कि you should be having some good projects on your portfolio. Now that does not necessarily mean कि आपको एक बड़ी कंपनी में internship करना है या
Hmm.
open source करना है. It could be as simple as कि आप Flipkart का clone बना रहे हो, but do
Hmm.
include the part कि आप recommend the products जो आता है ना, recommended products हैं,
Hmm.
previous browsing पे based है, purchasing history पे based है.
Hmm.
Try to
Hmm.
implement that functionality in the project so that it has some depth to it कि interviewer उससे
Hmm.
अच्छे से पूछ पाए. Also do mention the projects that you have done, क्योंकि ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि इंटरव्यूअर ने आपका रेज्यूमे पढ़ा ही हो उतने डेप्थ में. He
Hmm.
might have just seen कि हाँ इसने ये प्रोजेक्ट किया है. He might not read the details that you have written. So explicitly mention कि मैंने ये प्रोजेक्ट्स किए हैं, इसके ये key features हैं. Also do not keep the introduction too long in an interview,
Hmm.
but do try to cover it. Try to path your way for the interviewer कि ऐसा ना हो कि आपसे वो कुछ ऐसा पूछ ले जो आपको नहीं आता हो,
Hmm.
right? So that is a thing to do for the interviews. Other than that, the जॉब मार्केट फॉर फ्रंट एंड एंड बैक एंड इज प्रीटी हॉट राइट नाउ,
Hmm.
क्योंकि अभी काफी सारे स्टार्टअप स्टार्ट हो रहे हैं थैंक्स टू कोविड, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ देम आर हायरिंग, अ लॉट ऑफ देम आर गेटिंग फंडिंग. बट ऑल्सो बी वेयर ऑफ सम स्टार्टअप्स बिकॉज क्योंकि ले ऑफ्स भी काफी सारे हो रहे हैं. तो
Hmm.
बी डू योर ओन रिसर्च बिफोर अप्लाइंग टू इट and researching the startup itself before applying there. And yeah, that would be the tips for interviewing for front end roles.
Nice. I think these are very valuable tips for students who are just looking for joining in a front end role or in general any software engineer role. So thanks, Ansh. Thanks a lot for coming to our channel and sharing your like great journey with us. And I hope like we'll see you soon in another video where we ask uh, how your experience is with Amazon London in future. So thanks a lot for your time. And
Thank
yeah,
you. Welcome.
thanks.
I enjoyed
So
my time as well here. Yep.
thanks. So that's it, guys, for today. Be I'll be with another guest in upcoming days. So stay tuned and have a nice day. Thanks.